Nakaba really heard that some people were a little bit confused on whether or not Four Knights was a romance manga. He decided to get a little bit heavy-handed with it. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do mean to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Hey, another fun fact. Nakaba Suzuki. Let me just say this. As we begin. I was not, and I repeat, not with a capital N-O-T, familiar with your game. This man really said, oh, I heard on the Reddit, y'all banned discussion of any Percival ships, huh? It's kind of crazy that you would ban a romance discussion, even though I'm trying to go as H-root as possible here. Looks like I'm gonna have to start swinging my weight around. And he swung his weight around on that part of it later on. But this chapter opens up with a let me be real honest with y'all. Because of recent Gawain developments, and just me really liking her character and her character conflict, she had slid into spot number 3 for your boy. She really had. If you didn't know, I may make a video fully talk about it in depth, but I feel like it's kind of obvious. If you watch the Four Knights reviews, you know my opinions on the characters and their ranking. But for me, it was basically a hardline tie between Percy and Lance at 1 throughout all part 1, but Percy, because of all his part 2 stuff, has definitely boosted up to 1 for me. And it's been Lance. Then for a short while it was Gawain, and then it was Tristan. But then Nakaba decided to be like, wait a minute. I see you may not like this character all too much because he takes too many L's. Let me hand him one of the fattest W's I can muster as quickly as possible. And he handed him one of the fattest W's he could muster as quickly as possible. That is crazy. That's absolutely, but like Nakaba, and don't get me wrong, right? It's not even what happens here is the most crazy, outlandish, nonsensical thing ever. But I just wasn't expecting it. At the very least, I wasn't expecting it. But you may be wondering, hey, Pencil Man, why are you sweating so much? And it's because I literally just recorded the 25-minute live reaction, which you can check out over on Patreon for those. $1 a month, you can member for those theaters want to check out the 25-minute live reaction. But also, because it's hot. It's hot in my room. I'm not turning on the fan because it's super duper loud. I'm not turning on the air conditioner because it's super duper loud. So I'm going to record this review. I'm going to take a little break, and then I'm going to see if I can record Blue Lock right after this. But with it being the case, chapter 195, Tristan and Isolde. And this really, specifically this cover page in a later moment reminds me. It begs a question above all questions, right? Tristan and Isolde. Look at the height gap there. He genuinely isn't even near her shoulders. His little is it called a ahogao, whatever it is. His I'm not gonna say his tip. That sounds a little weird. But the top of his head and his hair isn't even near her shoulders. The actual top of his head ain't even past her rib cage, her lower rib cage. Does that seem familiar? Does that ring a bell to anybody? A certain father of Tristan. A certain uncle as well. Something about these royal demon descendants. They like their women's whole. And they like them strong-willed. So, they just like me for real. But you know what that makes me wonder? How tall was the Demon King's wife? How tall was the Demon King's wife? And by proxy, how short was the Supreme Deity's husband? Because notably, we know for a fact, I'm not sure if Elizabeth is confirmed to have a dad, but we know for a fact that Mel and Zell do have a mom. Will Nakaba ever show us what she looks like? No. This is the same guy who locked the gender reveal for now seeing as a major part of the character behind a volume extra. So we will never see what she looks like. But Mel and Zell do have a mama. And the reason I think Nakaba went out of his way to confirm they do have a mom is because since he revealed the Supreme Deity and the Demon King literally created their respective species, it'd be kind of hard to differentiate Zell and Mel from all other demons, and obviously Elizabeth from all other goddesses by proxy, if they were just created from the Supreme Deity and the Demon King like all others. That'd be a little bit weird. That does weirdly imply, though, that, they made their husband and wife. It's kind of weird. like, the Demon King made his wife, and the Supreme Deity made her husband. I mean, they created entire realms that have star systems in them. So, obviously creating a partner probably wasn't that hard, but still kind of weird to think about. Once again, was the Demon King also into tall women? Is this a genetic thing? Don't get me wrong. I'm a tall woman loving myself, you know. I'm not like a little. I'm not really. Well, it's funny because I can't really say I'm a tree climber because I'm tall myself. I'm 6'1", so like very few women are taller than me, and even the few that are, like I've never met a woman over like 7 foot. That's when I'd be like, okay, I got a tree climb. Like 9 out of 10 times, if I meet a tall woman, she's either my height, a little bit taller, or a little bit shorter. But I'm not saying I'm not ashamed of the Demon King for liking tall women, but like does that mean when he made the clay to like form is what he was like. He got it up to his height and was like, no, it must be bigger. And just kept building. And once again, considering Elizabeth likes her men a little short, was the supreme deity, did she make like a model for her husband like that was her size? And was like, gotta top him. And just sliced it in half. And then that went to work. I don't know. Once again, I wonder if there's any correlation. Watch us find out. Meet Mel's mom and Elizabeth's, like, which is weird, right? Because that's technically, man, that's so weird. But I know technically Elizabeth Leonis, who is Tristan's biological mother, isn't actually the goddess Elizabeth. But it still is so weird that like Tristan's kind of like Melon, like they're not actually. I know. I'm making it weird on purpose. It's like the whole Percy Jackson thing, where if you think about it too hard, it gets very, very weird that demigods date each other. The way Percy Jackson uses it is they say the gods don't have DNA, so it's okay that they all. And I do mean the moral kids. It's already weird that the gods do it, but like the demigod kids, it's kind of like think about what Percy and Annabeth actually are, like biologically. For reference. Athena is Poseidon's biological niece. Percy is Poseidon's biological son. Think about it. Yeah, they're cousins, one's removed. But would that be the case? Same thing for like the Seven Deadly Sins family tree. But once again, since Chaos created the Demon King, created the Supreme Deity, and created the fairy tree, they technically aren't really siblings. I like to call them siblings because I just think it's funnier. Like I love to imagine that the Supreme Deity and the Demon King like had to water their baby sibling, which was the fairy tree. I just find that hilarious. But that being the case, they aren't actually siblings. But it's kind of weird because Tristan's grandfather and grandmother are brother and sister. Helios and Elizabeth are technically cousins. Okay, let me stop. This went down a super duper dark path really, really quick. Let's actually hop right into chapter 195, Tristan and Isolde. We open up, we do get to see that Capital Knee, aka Gulther, is like, the battle is over, but Isolde is fatally hurt. It was almost like she stepped in to let the blade stab through her, which still is, once again, a genuinely crazy amount of resolve. I mean, like, I know that's Isolde's whole thing, like, dumb, stupid amounts of resolve, but genuinely insane. Like, I'm not gonna use it. Then again, this is the dullest blade I have. I'm not stabbing either. None of you. You're sharp enough. I'm not stabbing any of you into me. I'm not gonna use the Jingle Bang. I'm gonna use. Forget it. I have the Keyblade. Can you imagine? Like, just, and once again, Tristan, she didn't just step into the blade. She stepped into a blade that was being thrust at her. So, like, this is like someone, if they had the Keyblade, and it was sharp. Like, say they had the ultimate weapon, which is over there, but I'm not gonna stab myself with that either, because it's kind of sharp. They had the Keyblade, and just thrust at you, and you threw yourself on the sword. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Even for someone I love and care for, I'm not. No. So Isolde, infinitely better than me. But with it being the case, and who definitely has been going through it this tournament, like, don't get me wrong, she only had to take one beating. But it was a pretty bad beating. And so far, she's really just watched all of her friends get, like, brutalized and beat down in one way, shape, or form. The only person who's been, like, mostly unharmed throughout the entire tournament is Percy. But Percy's also, like, literally fundamentally immortal. And not only had to get absolutely waffle stomp violated by Rothus. No, it was Turret, who used the invisible Purgatory Beast on her, which absolutely beat the taste out of her mouth and completely incapacitated her, which Percy had to heal her from. But then she had to watch Gnossians get absolutely violated after violating Rothus. Then had to watch, I mean, like, Dottie didn't really get hurt all too much, but essentially Gawain. She's had to worry about Tantris or Tristan. Like, she's been going through a whole lot. So you see her look of absolute genuine shock as she yells, "Hurry up and help her, Percival!" And Percival immediately flies in. He's like, "We are not letting someone else die." No. Like, he's genuinely really, really concerned, and he does dive in. And we do get to see that Percy, once again, I do wonder if there's, like, a slight sign of emotional maturity, where Percy's like, "Here, let me jump in.
he understands. I wonder if this is like Percy understanding, you know, Tristan going through a lot right now. He did spontaneous, and once again, he does maybe to some degree still think this is Tantris, as we find out. He's shocked when Tristan does go on to say something that only Tristan would say. But very particularly, Percy thinks that, hey, a lot may be happening, whether he regains memories or not. He did just stab a person, clearly he didn't want to do that. He may be in too rough of a headspace to heal. So I do like the idea that Percy immediately is like, here, let me jump in. I can help you. I'll do it. I'll take care of it myself. But, of course, you know, my boy Tristan, he said, I got an opportunity and I just can't not take it. Can't not? Yeah, can't not is the... Cannot not take it. So he says, no, I'll save Isolde. I need to ask you to leave this matter to me, Percival. And you see he is still crying. As he would, you know. I'd also be crying too if I stabbed my tall baddie and suddenly got my memories back. But being the case, we see that Percival's like, wait a minute. You said that name with a little bit too much familiarity. Do you know who I am? And we see, in a really cool instance, Isolde literally bleeding out the hole in her back, which does kind of confirm that the sword went through her. I thought it just like got lodged in her chest. No. Like it went straight through her sternum and out the back, which is crazy. Like, sword body's not used to having a gargantuan hole in it, but he holds it and very specifically like atomizes the blood, which is crazy. Like, notably, we've seen characters get healed before and they do typically get cleaned up, but whenever a goddess heals, actually no, the goddess healing always does this. Never mind, because I'm thinking of the other couple times someone was healed. I remember when Jade's body was healed, when he was bloodied up, it was cleaned afterwards. I remember specifically Mael, when he healed Escanor, even though Mael's like a low tier healer, relatively speaking, and like restored Escanor's entire arm and stuff like that. All the blood on Escanor was gone too. So it is the thing where you heal in sevendeadlysins with goddess magic or Percy's light spirit magic. You do just straight up wipe away the blood, but you see the stained hands immediately get cleaned and vaporized as he fooms with a whole bunch of goddess magic. And notably, I don't even think he's... Sorry, I'm leaving him fair. If he does activate his goddess eyes, I know people said he was revving up his goddess magic last chapter, but I do actually forget if he had his goddess eyes active. This may be like a combo based Tristan healing feat. And considering what the attack is named, it may actually literally have to do with this base magic. As we see, he says, I'm never going to let you die. I swear it upon my life. And speaking of Chekhov's guns, who do you guys think... You know, especially with Escanor coming back, though, I really don't trust Nakaba. Do you guys think that Nakaba's going to boom one of the knights by the end of the series? Do you think he is? I could see it. But then the question is, like, who does he boom? I feel like, unironically, the one character he just can't boom is Gawain. Because I think that'd be a little bit too redundant. Like booming the Escanor again, especially if you boomed Escanor last time. That'd be, like, a little bit too redundant and too much of a run back. So I feel like booming Gawain just isn't the move. But then who do you boom? I feel like you can't boom Tristan. Like, I don't think that'd go over too well. As divisive, and I really will say, Tristan is very divisive with the community. I have him as my number 3, but a lot of people have him as their least favorite. And notably, I had him as my least favorite for a little bit until this very chapter. So, with it being the case, I know it's very divisive, but Tristan is a little, just a teeny tiny bit too, how do I put this nicely? Too important to end up getting boomed, I'd say. He's a little bit too important. But, with that being the case, I would also say that you don't boom Percy, right? Because he's the main character. But then again, he feels very boomable. But if we are going to boom Gawain, because it'd be a little bit too redundant, and we can't boom Tristan because he's a little too important, and Percy is our main character. He never boomed the main character, right? Never. Are we booming Lance? Part of me, and you know what the sad thing is, part of me sees the vision on booming Lance. Is that bad? Like, especially as a Lance lover, I do not want to boom Lance. But I kind of see the vision. That's crazy. It's crazy to say that. But I do kind of see the vision, which terrifies me. And you may be wondering, right? Like, Pencil Man, 1, why Lance? And 2, why Lance? And it's both Lance because, like, he's important, but not too important. Like, he kind of is the series deuteragonist, but is he though? Yeah, I like at least as a reason, it's felt like Gawain and Tristan. But then again, you know, Lance literally was the second night we met. And while he was sitting, he was literally our Diodora. So, like, maybe Lance is too important. But, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe none of them die. I mean, because there's only 4. Like, we could sack 1 last time because there were 7 main characters, 7 titular characters. We only got 4. Maybe we don't sack anybody, but something about this, I'm never going to let you die. I swear it upon my life. Something about that just screams, one of them's going to die. And even if it's not Tristan for putting the Chekhov Spagooter up on the wall, someone's going to have to pay the price of that loaded shot, right? Like someone's getting hit. And I don't think one of our little side casts can compensate. I don't even think a Nazi's definitely compensate. I think we do need a heavy hitter. And for some reason, Lance feels the most reasonable. Even though we literally do have a Knight of Death who could die. But with it being the case, we see that Tristan goes on to flex Heal Nova. Now, you're wondering, flex Heal Nova, like, bro, he's legit just healing. Like, what's happening? But the reason this caught my eye, has been going, is mainly because Nova is Tristan's magic. And like almost every other magic, kind of even including Hope, despite how much we know about it, it's been like danced around, but it hasn't been fully elaborated on, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, what is Nova? Is it simply his ability to apply his goddess and demon powers? I wouldn't think so, because all goddesses and demons can do that. So why would he be any different? Does he have a unique type of magic? That Twilight magic? That Annihilation magic? Maybe similar yet different to Chaos magic, in a sense? I don't think so, because once again, he's a goddess demon hybrid. Presumably, all of them can just do that. So, I don't know. The dropping of the name or the word Nova here, it does catch my eye. It does cause an eyebrow to, let's just say, perk up, if you will. Hold on, wait. I can't actually raise my eyebrows that well, but there we go. Does cause an eyebrow to go high as the other goes low, if it will. But with it being the case, I do wonder. Obviously, Hope is the one we've had the most elaboration on because it's attached to our main character and we've gotten a whole bunch of it. But still, we don't have a full understanding of Hope. But realistically, Nova, Hazy Moon, and Dawn are still mostly mysteries. Like, we can kind of extrapolate a whole lot about Dawn and how it works in comparison to Sunshine because we have Sunshine as a predator. And we can kind of make guesses and extrapolations on things like Hazy Moon because they're like weird magic reflection things and technical magic absorption, which we've definitely seen from Lance's father before. So, like, there's definitely stuff in the air that we have seen that could hypothetically compare for Hazy Moon in particular. I have ideas about all 4 of the magics I'll talk about in their own My Thoughts videos. But very interesting that we're dropping Heal Nova here. But of course it also makes sense to drop Nova here, because once again this is Tristan swearing his life and fealty to Isolde. And as we see, this is a really, really big healing ability. Like, massive, I'd say. Notably, the only other larger scale healing magic I think we've seen is very specifically Elizabeth, and it wasn't even like one specific spell. She just like passively healed everyone on a battlefield while speaking to the hearts of many different people. So like, Elizabeth is still undeniably best healer in the verse, but Tristan, he's getting a don't sleep on him. He's definitely getting up there. Once again, I'm still not sure if he can heal curses and sicknesses though, because that was the big weakness he had back in Grudge of Edinburgh. So I don't know if he's actually overcome that, if he's still locked to only physical wounds, but Heal Nova, at least scale-wise, is pretty darn big, and presumably could be used in a more AoE fashion, because right now it's just being used as like a singular beam that's raining down Isolde, burning a whole bunch of Tristan's magic. But Tristan is lucky, because apparently he doesn't have to fight again today. I think it's kind of crazy that they really had to stretch it out to 3 days, considering what, there are only 4 fights today, but hey, you know, be like that, want to be like this sometimes. As he casts Heal Nova, wing, and Percy looks on like, I'm sorry, you could do this the entire time? Where were you when my grandfather got boomed? And of course, we see Anne and Nasi's both getting blown back by the sheer force, while Percy, as he'll go on to do later on in this chapter, is aura farming. So this is a little bit of warm-up. Percy's like, this chapter may be called Tristan and Isolde, but do not forget about me. I will aura farm. And we see that Isolde does get healed, gets it with the swing, and then her hair falls and rests as the magic stops. And Tristan goes on to say, don't worry. Hold on, let me get nice and close to the mic. I'm sorry. Let me get up in there. Don't worry. I remember it all now. Who I am, my vital mission, Jade, Kion, and you too, Isolde. All of it. Everything. And it's all thanks to you. So please, open your eyes. I put you through so much worry and strife. I've got to pay you back for every bit of it. And that is sweet, right? Like, obviously, you know, it is not his fault. Like, we will go on to see the real person whose fault this all is. But it really, really is not his fault. That he was heavily fatigued, fell into Camelot, or fell into Allenfwin, and then got mind wiped by the one person who had struggled with mentalist magic to actually mind. Like, it's nowhere near his fault. I mean, it stabbed her. Once again, that wasn't really him. Like, he didn't know, and she threw herself on the sword. But I do love that Tristan does feel that guilt, right? He's like, man, I did so many terrible things. If only there was some way I could quickly make up for it. Let me see. Do I have chapstick handy? And we see that Percy goes, he smiles, he's happy, and then he strides off. Notably, away from the battlefield. And no one is watching him because everyone's still not really taken aback, but they're all just watching the show going on. So, I wonder, where on earth could our guy be going? Because you see Bolin and Gawain here, you see the Donners, you see Kion, you see Gareth, you see Nasins, you see Anne, you see Isolde too. But two fighters who should be here are missing. One of them left earlier. I believe his name was Diodora. And now Percy's leaving now. I wonder where those two could be going. I thought all the fights were going to happen today, but I guess I was thinking way too small scale. As we see Percy stride off. But with it being the case, we cut right back to Isolde and Tristan. And she says, "It is my mission, Prince Tristan, to serve you all my life." Which is very... I mean, like, once again, my thoughts have not changed. I don't think you should 100% dedicate your heart, mind, soul, and body to everything that's not, like, literally your biological children. Or not even biological children. If you choose to adopt children, congratulations, buddy. You've signed your life away. Yours is now theirs. But, at least in my view. But, very particularly, we know Isolde and Tristan, they're a little bit into serving each other. There's a joke there, but I'm not even sure if I know what that joke means. You ever make a joke and then just don't even know if it, like I don't even know if that's applicable? Does serving even have that guy? I don't really think so. I don't think this... I mean, I would like, Control-Alt, delete that joke, but I don't even think it's just a weird statement. Would it being the case? We see Tristan is shocked and happy to see Isolde. Oh, she's wait, I can't hit. Is it Linkin Park? I'm awake, I'm alive, she's awake, she's alive, and she knows what she believes inside. Now it's her time, she'll do whatever she wants, cause this is her life. Here, right now, gonna stop and never back down. I know what I believe inside. I'm awake and I'm alive, waking up. No. I'm sorry, I cannot hit Linkin Park at all, but I was heavily obsessed with them, and yes, it was due to DBZ AMVs. I swear, I did not have a unique childhood, dog. But with it being the case, we see Isolde smile happily at Tristan, blushing. And we see Tristan plotting, planning, scheming. Don't trust that innocent looking face. He's plotting, planning, scheming right now. He got himself a tall bed. He's like, yeah. But he says, "Oh, Isolde, you're always like this. Always taking these blind risks for my sake." And like, I mean... I feel like everyone should have at least one person they're willing to do dumb stuff with, but dumb stuff within reason. Don't go skydiving without a parachute. But if you want to go skydiving, man, it's always good to do it with someone you know. I mean, it's a fine line. Notably, welcome to living your life with pencil, where I think you do need to be okay with doing basically everything by yourself, because sometimes your friends are gonna be busy, or your family's gonna be busy. Like you have your own life to live. Don't wait on people. Like, you can definitely wait if it's an experience that you really want to do with somebody else. But I'd say, if you want to go to a restaurant by yourself and no one seems to want to go to the restaurant. If you want to travel by yourself and no one wants to go travel by yourself. Trust me, the one thing you can't get back is time. So always go ahead and do what you want to do when you want to do it. But at the same time, it is always good to have at least some, like one. You don't have to have multiple. It's good to have multiple because you can do different types of dumb stuff. Maybe you can grab it in succession. But it's always good to have one person who's willing to do dumb things and take blind risks with you, because it's always nice. Like, connection is very, very important to us humans, and just like, it's important to me too. I just love and respect connection. So it is a sweet thing to see Tristan be like, oh, I saw my beautiful, amazing, legendary, gorgeous tall baddie. I can't believe you do stuff like this. It got me blushing like crazy right now. And we see that Isolde 2 goes, and Isolde 1 goes, because... Yeah. I'm half tempted
I'm half tempted to draw the worthiness blade right here, right. Yo. This is I think, genuinely. Then again, you know, technically you could say Guinevere was one, but that was just assault. I don't care. That was straight assault. But this is like the first, at least through like a genuine romantic pairing, where we know both sides are into it and somewhat consenting to it, even if he did catch her off guard here. Because I'm trying to think of the only other ones. Like, Percy kissed Nocians, but he kissed Nocians like sucked on her face. Like that doesn't count. And kissed Percy. But once again, that was like trying to force feed him medicine. Doesn't really count. And that was very early on in their dynamic. Like, I don't think Anne had any feelings for him, even if Percy was physically attracted to Anne at that point. So I think this is like the first romantic kiss we've seen from any of our new gen major cast, which is kind of crazy, right? Like, I don't know. It's very easy to forget that Seven Deadly Sins is technically also a romance manga, despite the entire original plot only happening because of romance. I remember, who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody, and I literally asked them, hey, what do you think one of the major themes of the Natsu no Taizai is? And they were like, well, you know, freedom, fate, rebelling against the gods. I was like, what about romance? They're like, what do you mean romance? I'm like, dude. Like, every single major conflict in the series is born around romance of some kind. The main major conflict is born around a forbidden romance. Merlin's whole conflict is born around a romance she couldn't have, unrequited love. Gothar's own life was based around a love that he lost, you know. Not really unrequited, but the loss of Naja, which led to his crash out. Gothar, the original, did everything because of love, a love for his lover lost. That's why he made Mael specifically into Esterosa and tricked the gods and everything like that to end the Holy War. Escanor did a whole lot of his stuff for love of his friends, but he also really, really liked Merlin. King and Diane's conflict is entirely based around love. Obviously, Mel and Elizabeth, I mentioned that already, and Bon and Elite. Like, Seven Deadly Sins is a love story of many varieties, backgrounds, and types. But I think because we get so lost in everything else about the characters and the universe and the lore, the power scaling, it's very easy to forget, yeah, this is a love story at its core. So it is actually kind of crazy that this is the first, like, full-on, both of these characters like each other, love each other, and they smacking lips. We're 195 chapters deep. For reference, by this point in the original manga, Meliodas is dead. I forget if he's come back by this point, but like, he's been dead. I think we're in the midst of the post-time skip Droll and Gloxinia flashback. Like, we're about to see the Endura pop out by this time in the original manga, 195, I believe. So we're pretty darn late into this manga for the first of these to happen. But hey, shout outs to Tristan, big dog. Mad respect. And that man is either mad short or Isolde really is mad tall. How tall? Hold on. I didn't look it up in the live reaction when she said it over on Patreon for those $1 a month. You can remember for those $3 a month. But let me see. Let me stroke my non-existent. Well, I do have a beard actually. So let me stroke the beard. Tristan, I believe he's 5'7", 5'8". Tristan, Seven Deadlysins, Tristan Leonis. Oh, I'm sorry, I burped. Oh, I burped. No, please stop, buddy, please. Tristan Leonis. Let's beat the fit. No, I don't want to see a discussion thread take me to his page. Let's see, how tall is he? He's 5'9". He's 5'9". For reference, I'm 6'1". My calves is approximately a foot in like 10.5 inches. So nearly 2 feet of my height. So like almost a third of my height is locked behind my calf. My calf exclusively. Because note, Isolde is on her knees here. And obviously, you know, she gets a little bit of a height boost, a pretty decent height boost from the heel. But Tristan is also wearing heels. He's wearing heeled boots. So for Tristan to just be barely taller or just tall as Isolde when she's on her knees like this is actually kind of insane. That means Isolde has to be like 7 feet, right? Like if Tristan is 5'9", and notably, I think that's his pre-time skip height. He may have gotten taller. He may actually be 6 foot at this point. He's actually taller than his father and his uncle, which is crazy. But with it being the case, he's 5'9", y'all. He's not miniature. Isolde truly, in fact, how tall is Isolde supposedly? Because with that, unless Isolde's height is stored like really in her torso, if she's anything like your boy, she's got like a whole 2 feet locked away behind those calves. Probably a full 2 feet. Hold on. Isolde. Please tell me to the right Isolde. Please tell me to the right Isolde. Yes, that's the right Isolde. Let's see. How tall is she? She's 6'4". She's gotten taller.
She's gotten taller or Tristan shrunk. One of those two. Because for her to be 6'4" and him to be 5'9", that's only a 7-inch difference. Her legs are not just 7 inches. They are not. They're like 3 times that. So Isolde actually got a massive growth spurt over the time skip. Or Tristan, once again, he may have shrunk. If Tristan grew at all, it didn't matter. Because his tall baddie has to be on his knees for him to actually kiss her properly. But other being the case, shout out to Tristan, man. This is what kicked him back up. And obviously a little thing that happens later on in the chapter. Who cares about what he does later on in the chapter? I'm kidding. But this kicked him back up to third favorite for me, because this is mad bold, dog. As Gother himself declares, or capital E, says, usually it's a kiss from the prince that wakes up the princess. This time the order's been reversed. But be that as it may, Isolde is back to life. But it's funny, because, like, no, the order technically wasn't reversed. I mean, like, she woke him up from his, like, delusion and stupor of mental magic manipulation. But it wasn't a kiss that did that. It was getting a sword in her chest. He is still kissing her here. Like, you can even tell by her that she was not ready or even slightly mentally prepared for this. So I would say that it truly is the case that the order's been reversed. But you don't go there. Hopeless romantic like all of us. And he appraises this. And I do think this is very, very sweet. And we see everyone else be like but once again, that's the thing. This is the first, like, proper romantic expression. So Anne being absolutely blown away by this is adorable. Gareth looking away like, I only grew up in Onfun. I've never seen anything like this before. It's actually kind of creepy. And Nasian's being like, oh, I wish that were me and Percy right now. And Donnie be like, what? Am I really going to be the only one here that's going to die alone? And yeah, Donnie. I mean, Gawain is probably going to die. Well, once again, yeah, Gawain and Ballin enjoy it. They're both in the basketball club until Gawain finds herself a tall baddie and Ballin finds something to do with his life. Who knows? But, and Gareth. Who knows? You never know with Gareth. So you aren't going to be alone, Donnie. But Donnie, he's extra bamboozled. He's like, I'm going to die alone, man. Everyone else is getting together. Connie's like, I'm the permanent third wheel now. I was already the permanent third wheel, but at least I had Jade the fourth wheel with. No, I'm just the third wheel. And then we see Gawain be like, oh, Tristan, you sly dog, claiming your territory on the tall baddie. I know what you are. And Ballin is like, I have no idea who any of these people are still. And I couldn't really care. Neat, though. And Isolde 2 was like, seriously? What was it all for? What was all the mental manipulation and magic usage and magic expenditure and feeling physically sick and ill? What was all of it for? And Tristan looks around like, oh, that's right. I am surrounded by a live audience. I just let my instincts to fall from my tall baddie take over. He goes, wait, what was I'm sorry, Isolde. I didn't mean to. And Isolde is, she a little bit too lost in the song right now. She's a little bit too lost in the song. But you know what, like, and this is I know it's gonna sound extra jaded and all that. But let old man curmudgeonly pencil speak from his old jaded heart. I don't think I've ever been like love. I don't know. Once again, I have a really like high standard for what love is, but deeply liking somebody. When you do give that first kiss or get that first kiss, it do go. It like any functioning or rational thought will just like leave. I remember I like brain shut down, and I was wondering like it was like a dual initiation a little bit. She leaned in, I leaned in. It was nice, all right. But like, lips, man, I did the brain like all, and my cognitive ability vanishes sometimes during review. I mean like straight mental shutdown. Like whatever radio static was playing in my head just went straight silent, eyes blank, like I was just gone. So I don't blame Isolde at all. We're just shutting down, simmering, being a bright red, and Tristan being worried, Isolde? But, gotta claim some territory, gotta remind us. Sure, the Reddit may have been Percival ships, but I ain't say nothing about Tristan ships. And we see that he's still a little embarrassed, but he's like, well, I did it. Might as well claim a little territory a little bit more. And he grabs her hand and says, let's go. And Captain E says, all right, everyone. With that happy ending, it's time to announce the fight card for tomorrow. Next time we'll begin the semifinal round. Percival versus Diodora, and then Gawain versus Tantris. Which will be very interesting to see. I actually am very interested in both of those fights. Obviously, I think Gawain versus Tristan will be a lot more playful. Maybe if it was still Tantris, it'd be a bit more violent, but like, I assume both are gonna be relatively chill. They'll probably like plan overnight and be like, okay, who's actually like a bet. Once they get Tristan fully caught up on the plan, which is to gank the soul out of Beltreep, or at least attack him when he comes down to like reward them. Tristan may be like, Gawain, do you think you're better for this? And Gawain may say, Tristan, you think you're better for this? And they're probably gonna have like a little discussion, probably pre-plan that fight. The other fight though, Percy versus Diodora, that's gonna be all nice, juicy, thick, and raw action. I'm excited. But with it being the case, I'm still blown away that they're making this like a 3-day thing. Like, remember, there were only 4 fights today. 4. And they're like, yeah, we're going to hold this off till tomorrow. That's actually kind of crazy. Because it's probably been like less than an hour in the universe. But, you know, time. And we see, like, Habloni declares, and then, right after that, the 2 winners will duke it out on the final. Meaning we don't have to wait 1 more day for the final match. Which, who it will be? It'll be Percy versus probably Tristan. If I had to hazard, I guess probably. But then again, you know, just because of how heavy the Gawain focus was, it may actually be Percy versus Gawain. We already got like a little preview of that right at the start of the right after Gawain's reintroduction, but still, no, a little more wouldn't hurt. But I do think there is like good conflict for Percy and Tristan in the fight too. So who knows? I actually would prefer Percy versus Tristan just because I think it'd be an interesting matchup. But at the same time, I can understand if we get Percy versus Gawain. But with it being the case, we see Kevin when he says, "I hope all of you are excited for the big final day." And we see Tristan hand in hand with the still blushing Isolde walks on. It's like, oh, and Isolde too says, Tantris, hey, what was all that just now? And Tristan looks on and is like, you're shorter than me by a noticeable amount. I'm sorry. What? How's that audio? Like I've heard like that audio, like girls' voice being like, sorry, I'm not into short guys. It's for the demon, for the demonic royal family, from the demon king to his grandson. It's like, sorry, I'm not into short women. my love must at least be a foot taller than me. As Tristan says, my name is Tristan. Do you perhaps have the wrong person, Isolde? Which is it is a rather calm and blasé way of putting it, but very, very cordial on Tristan's part. For him to be like, hey, I know you literally gaslit, gatekept, and girl bossed me with your mentalist magic, but I'm going to give you a chance to back on out of this right now. And we see that Tristan really just reveals he cannot be into short women. As he says, as Isolde is shocked and recoils, but Tristan says, oh, but please, don't worry. I still intend to fulfill my promise to you. Which is crazy, because he didn't make that promise. He did not make that promise. That was the other guy. But we see Isolde go dark and say, don't bother. Even if I make it out of Onwin, I'm just going to be alone anyway. Besides, I'm not even sick at all in the first place. What? You mean to tell me the character who obviously wasn't sick actually isn't sick? It was actually just using her rather low-tier magic to manipulate a gosh darn. I tried to say gosh darn or darn gosh at the same time. That sounded so wrong. But a gosh darn, like, top tier at this point. Like where would y'all put Tristan? I'd say Tristan's like an Archangel tier fighter. I'd say he's up there. Once again, because of fighting the Chaos Commandments and stuff. Like, once again, remember, Prime Galland in base was able to, like, tag and bisect Tarmiel. Did it do anything permanently? No. That was, like, Prime Galland in base. And Chaos Galland is at least comparable or equal to Prime Galland, if not stronger. So, like, and then obviously, like, Velascula. So, and that was just Scottish Tristan. So, like, Tristan ain't no joke. Do not sleep. That man is unbelievably swole. But, with it being the case, oh no, she wasn't sick. She was just using a whole bunch of her magic ability to manipulate one of the strongest characters in the verse right now. Crazy. And we see that Gawain says, yeah, I'll bet. She only fell ill due to casting mentalist magic on her mentalist magic for days on end. And I do love how Ball is still just like, I have no idea. I love Ball and solely for the fact that he's like, I'm just a chair now. I'm just here to war farm, bro. I'm just gonna keep the arms crossed. Someone hit this man with a close beam though. Don't get me wrong, the gains are immaculate, but put him away. Let's see. Isolde then tries to really dive into, we'll just call it cope molding and seething. I still, molding is such a funny word to me. I don't know why. Coping and seething, I've heard of that before, but someone said, bro, you're molding. I was like, what does that even mean? And I looked it up, I was like, oh, I suppose I am coping, molding, and seething. And she is coping, molding, and seething right now. And she says, I was just having a little fun brainwashing you. Good for you, getting your memory back. I hope you have a wonderful life with that taller Isolde.
That still tickles my heart. But, like, I don't know. It may be just because I'm in the tall women, too. I'm like, yeah, Tristan, Mel, Zell, the Demon King. Y'all know where it's at. But
at the same time, I do like the fact that she points out, and I do like the fact that she is a bit jealous, right? Like, notably, every single person I know, and once again, I wouldn't say, because of height inflation, and I do think it's like kind of a real thing, I don't even think like I'm that tall anymore, despite being 6'1". I don't think I'm like the super tallest thing out there. I've met multiple people. There are 5 people who I know personally and are in my friend group who are taller than me by like a decent margin. Like, the next tallest guy who's taller than me is 6'5". The tallest guy I know is 6'11". I'm short next to them. I'm a whole, like, head and shoulders beneath the 6'11" guy. So, I feel like I've low-key been height crept. But with it being the case, every single person, male or female I know that's, like, under 5'6", they don't like being small. It comes to certain advantages. And, like, you can fit a whole lot more clothes than I can. Like, man, even being my size, I feel super bad for everyone who's taller and bigger than me because it's even harder for me to find clothes. But people do want to be taller, so I like the idea that she's even just jealous. Not just the fact that he has another real Isolde, but also the fact that she's taller than her. She says, hope you have a wonderful life with that taller Isolde you found. That'd be so great, Tantris. Which, it's kind of crazy that she's still, you know, like, calling him that. Hop. But we see Kyan say, how could she be so two-faced like that? And my glorious legendary juicy Scrumsy Jumps as King Donnie's like, dude, like, you're one to talk. Do you know who you are? He's like, do you remember your character archetype? Buddy, you're no better. And we see that Tristan, once again, being arguably unreasonably, but Tristan's just a really nice guy, but arguably being unreasonably calm is like, I want to help you. All right? Which does make me wonder, will this Isolde end up joining the crew? That would be a crazy twist. But then we'd be real full up. Remember, Gawain just got the first member of her platoon. We haven't gotten back with Lance yet. Who knows if he'll have any members of his platoon. So, if Isolde 2 does end up joining the crew, we're going to be back to a 4-man band Percival platoon, which will be Isolde, Kyan, and Tristan. I said Percival platoon, Tristan platoon. Then we're going to have another 4-man platoon in Percy, Donnie. Well, not even, it's going to be a 5-man now because of Gareth. It's going to be Percy, Nasians, Donnie, and Gareth. And then we're going to throw Lance on there for 10. And then we have... Am I dumb? Am I stupid? Am I dumb? No, it is 4 in the Tristan platoon, 5 in the Percy platoon, then 10 for Lance, then 12 for Gawain and Balin. And that's not even to include Boris, who may still keep tagging along. So, like, this is a lot of characters knocking. But hey, I mean, if you want to do it. And we see that as Isolde was very angry, Tristan's calmness and serenity actually does manage to break her facade, because it truly is a facade. As both Isoldes look at him with a little bit of shock, tall Isolde included, who's like, I'm not into the harem root stuff. I'm not. And Nasi, I'm not over this. And we see that Kyan declares, literally breaking the fourth wall a little bit, going through the panel, as he says, leave her be, Prince. She's got a twisted mind. And Donnie, once again, speaking for the audience, like, again, are you, of all people, want to talk? And hey, Donnie, you know what they say. It takes one to know one. But with it being the case, we see that Tristan explains, I saw how alone you were. All because the father you loved suddenly forgot about you. And we see that strikes a chord for Anne in particular. Because remember what happened in her fight with Diodora. As she goes, huh? And Tristan explains, I'm sure that you chose me as a way to take your mind off that solitude. Off of the solitude. And we see, once again, their initial interaction where Isolde was running from a purgatory beast that she was lost in when she fell in the Omphra for the first time. This is right after a very heavily fatigued Tantris, who's presumably, or Tristan, who was fighting for days, comes in, saves her, slices apart the beast, protects her, and then collapses from exhaustion. And we see that Tristan explains, I took the place of your father in your life. And we see he collapses, and Isolde runs over. She asks, are you okay? What's your name? And still going into the fake name thing, he says, Tris. So, once again, Tristan just being the nicest guy on the planet, bro. He's so understanding. He's like, I get it, man. And I bet it hits home for him, right? Because even if Tristan does have issues with his demonic biology, it definitely has, to put it gently, let's say mixed feelings about his dad. Because once again, it's really, but he loves his daddy, right? Like, he loves his daddy. Just like, Tristan just like me for overall. I do have issues with my dad. I love him. He's crazy, though. And hey, he passed a lot of his crazy down to me. A lot of my more insane tendencies, blame my father. Blame him. But with that being the case, I love my dad still. And I always will love my dad. So I feel like Tristan's in that same spot. And I know he would feel a certain type of way if Meliodas randomly abandoned him. Because that's the one thing. No matter how you feel about Meliodas as a dad, with how little we got to see of him as a father, you can never say he abandoned his kid. He loves his kid. No. He was very unconcerned about him going missing in Camelot for like over a year, so that's a little bit, huh? But outside of that, Meliodas loves Tristan. He was waiting over 4,000 years for a Tristan to exist. So you know Mel loves his kid, and you know his kid, Tristan, loves his dad, Mel. So I bet he extra sympathized with the idea of losing your father, the one person who took care of you, protected you, raised you, the only connection you had, losing that. It definitely does hit different for Tristan. Personally, and I do like that. But we see that Isolde immediately drops the facade and breaks down and reveals what we kind of already knew, but once again, it's good for everyone to get the information on it. And she says, my father, it was King Arthur. He took his memory in exchange for the power to protect me. And this does bring up a hilarious, not really coincidence, but kind of point. Yo. Is Worldane just evil? Is Worldane of the four evils, the White Knight, I do believe? Is she just flat out just a bad person? She's implied to be super duper ancient. Does she have a reason for taking the power other than just the power? Because so far now with this, obviously it was implied for a while, but I just didn't click with me until this chapter for some reason. All the four evils only took the power of chaos because they were coerced / needed the power to protect specifically a loved one, only to lose the memories that connected them to that loved one. Ironside, it was Fiona, and obviously their lost child, Richard. And then Pelgard, it was Fiona and their lost child, Richard. And for Ironside, it was obviously Diodora and his lost wife. And then for Beltrep, it's Isolde, and presumably her lost mother. But because of how it is, that's so funny. Because of that, now all of them do have sympathetic motivations for giving into that power, and now are only the way they are because of that external chaos manipulation suppressing their humanity in order to give them more and more power. So, like, does Worldane have someone she deeply cares for, but she just forgot? Or is she just evil and was like, hey, yeah, I'll take the power because I want power? Like, wait, I actually have no idea, but it is funny to think about that she's now, like, the only evil verbatim with no, like, redeeming quality, period, point blank, or any, like, human desire, care, want to protect. That's all just gone out the window. She's the only one now. Where Beltrep could at least loosely be argued, no. It is confirmed here that he took the power for her sake. It's just he didn't realize that he would lose her in exchange for the power to protect her. And we see that Tristan's like, oh, King Arthur did that? I have to give him back shots. And we see Anne reveal, oh, it's just like Diodora. And Nosians is naturally like, what? What do you mean? And Anne turns, because she saw Percival walk by, and say, Percival, I didn't mention all the details before, but his father was robbed of his memories too, and... Now, admittedly, I do feel bad for Diodora. But at the same time, like, I don't think that changes anything for Percival. He does not like Ironside. He doesn't like Ironside took his granddaddy away from him. His real daddy, essentially. So, like, I don't think that would change anything. Especially considering Diodora has changed so fundamentally. As, like, slaughtered and trying to eat people at this point. For their powers and abilities. And tried to slaughter and eat Nosians. Who is one of the harem root members. So, like, Percy, I don't think this would matter at all to him. But we see Anne turns. And she asks, Percival? Now, where did he go? As everyone else has already started to filter out of the arena. As everyone has this little interaction. And we cut away to the main man himself. The boy with green wing-like hair, posted up, straight ore farming, sword stabbed into the ground. Or actually, I can't tell if he's holding it or if it's stabbed into the ground. I think he goes on to stab into the ground next panel, so he's probably just holding it. But we see that he's talking to somebody. Oh, I wonder who he could be talking to. Let me just give him a voice, just in case. Oh, okay, so what is it? You wanted to talk to me? Yo. Diodora has somehow, and this is going to sound so crazy to some, he's already in my top 5 villains. All across the duology. Something about
how he carries himself, his design, his mannerisms, his abilities, his dynamic with Percy, and obviously his dynamic with other major antagonists like Ironside. Diodora just hits so different. I will admit, it still is a genuinely insanely crazy, stark turn from the calm, meek, sweet little boy we saw. But I'll take it for such an entertaining and well-written and well-played villain like Diodora. I love it. I love it. And I love how you can tell just from rip, Percy's here to stand purely on business. But Diodora is very specifically here to antagonize and mess with Percy. Also to mainly trigger his magic in their match tomorrow. So, like, you can tell Diodora, they're both here with certain mission objectives. And Diodora's is literally rage bait. Like, Diodora's literally trying to become the rage bait champion of the world. As he's like, you want to talk to me? And the rage bait does not stop there. As we see, Percy does lift. Yeah, so he hadn't sat on the ground. He sat on the ground afterwards. We see that Diodora says, even though we're fighting tomorrow anyway. Or, you want to move that fight up to right now? You can tell. Diodora's like, go ahead. Run my fade. Run it right now. Go ahead. Put your dukes up, boy. Let's run it. Run it right now. But we see Percy gripping his sword, just stabs it straight into the ground, the four circular. And we see Diodora saying, oh, angry, huh? It was Anne and Nasians, right? The ones I did in. Which is funny, because Diodora did not do an Anne. Like, that's not what happened. But still, you know, he's taking credit for it. But he definitely did do a Nasians. Or Nasians kind of did themselves in. But it was Anne and Nasians, right? The ones I did in. Which fight were you mad about? Or was it both? Are they both your lovers, or what? So, once again, I mentioned this all the way back at the start of the review. I saw some people try to argue. No, not even some people. Someone I personally know who reads Four Knights with me was like, I think like the whole Nasians and love rivalry thing, I think you're reading too deep into it, pencil. And I literally, like, we were on call. I literally paused what I was doing. I was in train mode and fighter. I paused what I was doing, turned, and looked directly at him. Because we weren't on like a Discord call, because I can barely use Discord to save my life. We were on a FaceTime call. My phone was literally planted right on my second monitor. I literally stopped. I was in the middle of a Trunks combo. I turned and I was like, "You're joshing me, right? You're intentionally trying to rustle my jimmies, bro. There's no way you believe that." But multiple people did believe that. Like we're like a lot of the fans were reading to, oh, you know, Nonsense like actually love Percy for like that. Like it's not really that serious. It's not like I was really gonna go down like a multi-love group route. And I'm like, the same guy who made Merlin love Meliodas deeply out of nowhere so he could set up Four Knights. That Nakaba, you think he's not gonna do like multiple characters loving the same guy? Really? And not make character conflict on that? Really? But with that being the case, I love that Nakaba it's not even like lampshading. He just has a character say it like, they both want to pipe you. They both want you to pipe them down, don't you? And it's true. Nasians literally became a girl for Percy. Their biology got locked in because of how much they love Percy. How crazy that is. Pow doesn't that ugly, stupid, filthy creature that also happens to be King Diane's kid. That thing hasn't locked in its gender yet. But Nasians did, because they found the person they love. But we see, Diodora says, boy, am I jealous. Some guys have all the luck. I wonder if he actually is at all remotely jealous. Well, we know he's jealous of Percy's like connections. But I wonder if he's actually like, darn, I wish I had two baddies fighting over me. Tall and or short. I would have loved it. But we see, he says, some guys have all the luck. But whatever. I'm sure you didn't call me here to talk about trivial things like that. Once again, Diodora, D1, like it's not even D1 Rage Bait anymore. Send him to the Rage Bait League, bro. Put him up there with Johann Lieber, dog. Like, he is genuinely out here manipulating and rage baiting to the moon and back. But we see Percy refuses to directly fall for the rage bait and decides to do some rage baiting himself as he lifts his hand. Once again, taking a big risk. As he says, it wouldn't be fair if you were kept in the dark. So I'm here to tell you. We see he raises the ring. Remember, this is the mentalist ring that Gawain put on everybody in order to make sure that Beltreep and no one recognized them as who they were, even if they heard the names and had direct assimilation and even visuals of them, specifically wouldn't recognize them. But Percy, once again, kind of falling for rage bait, kind of doing something stupid, but once again, fully locking in, grabs the ring. Diodora even thinks, his ring? And Percy removes it and says, I am Percival, the enemy of your father Ironside and a member of the group that will topple Camelot.
the four knights of the apocalypse. He just straight drops it. Diodora has rage baited him that effectively. And we see the ever confident, ever sly, ever playful, ever trickster, ever rage baiterous Diodora cracks. As remember, their whole life was shattered because of Percy and the four knights of the apocalypse. And they say, the four knights of the apocalypse? You? And we even see them sweat a little bit as they realize who they very particularly rage baited. And Percy's like, take this moment and burn it into your mind. The face of the one enemy you hate the most. Like I said, they may not be related by blood, but they got that rage bait built into them. Straight cinema. But if you couldn't tell how much fun I had reviewing and how long this review is, an amazing chapter in my opinion. I think this chapter genuinely elevates everyone who's in it. It elevates everyone who's in it. It elevates. I mean, Isolde kind of stays the same from where she was before, but even still, adorable Isolde is still good enough. It elevates Tristan, his respect and his motivation as a character, and his determination as a character to openly, once again, claim territory right out of the open. It elevates Percy. It elevates everyone here, really. Once again, no one falls in this chapter. That's the thing. Everyone either gets risen up higher or stays exactly the same, which is really, really good. I do like the possible hinting of Isolde too joining the crew. That still allows to fit into the old legend where there were two Isoldes, but one of them dies. Could still be this one. And I do like that the fake facade that Isolde puts up falls apart once she realizes that she can actually still trust Tristan even if he's no longer Tantris, and she confides in him. And that confiding leads to Anne trying to dissuade Percy from going absolutely boku bonkers, but unfortunately she's far too late. And of course we get the rage bait supreme between the brothers who are not brothers. The two men who are defined and shared by a twisted iron side of a fate. So overall, an amazingly W chapter. If you made it all the way to the end of this review, please do me a favor and leave hopeful despair. Because that's basically what's going to happen. We're going to hope versus despair. So leave hopeful despair in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that all the case will so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you've been having Patreon down below where you support me for as low as $1. Come on. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So this perks will include the live reaction to this very chapter, which is 25 minutes long, ad variations of all my videos, and if you become into a $50 Patreon or to a $50 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 minutes for a short video, 200 minutes a long video, or any beats at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Once again, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Redwolf 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brendan Payne, J2MA, Guillaume, Buddha Ura, Alex Kenny, Yuki Ally, Enzo, Nevis97, Zachary Wilson, Azo2404, Planet Crone, Rye Rich, and G Prosper. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our line art tier patrons: Sean, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Dread Zoan, and A+A. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our Ink tier members: Austin Wimberly, A. Uchiha, and Shrimpo the Shrimp. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Waki Munoz and Waki Munoz. And I think the final Giga Super Gargantuan Legendary Ultimate and even further beyond thank you to our ultimate tier, that guy with a pencil tier patron, Calvin Elder.